George Lewis, spirituality, sexuality, creativity. One cannot help but feel and sense those things when experiencing your work. What is it that inspires the creation of your art?
You make a very important point. Spirituality and sexuality are really the hallmarks of what I am exploring through my artwork. So spirituality, spiritual inquiry, sexual energy are fundamental to being human. We either choose to ignore these interests, and so it comes out in a nefarious way, or we can embrace them and understand them. I seek to try and understand them. So some of my work, especially the Fall of Man collection, explores really where the interface is between spiritual and sexual energy. These photographs, these creations are very different from anything else I've done because I am fusing photography, manipulation, even painting on top of each other, but the final image is a piece of photograph, and these are my first exploration on Florentine panel, and they make up the first part of the series of the Fall of Man collection. And it's looking at really the destruction of the sacred feminine and how we need to embrace the emotional quotient in ourselves. The word divine comes from Sanskrit, diva, which means self-illumination. And for me that's very important because I think we need to, as men, embrace our emotional quotient much, much more. It's going beyond pure sexual proclivity to something far more important about who we are as human beings, allowing us to explore the sacred and the profane. Profane doesn't always mean deviant, it means human, it means material, but also spiritual, it means human as well. And it's the dance we do between the two which interests me.
So, photography, mixed media, painted portrait, and videography. Your work bears distinct emotion and personal signature. Share with us a little bit about your creative process.
I think the first thing to say very clearly is that photography is fundamental to everything that I do. The camera is my third arm. I've had a camera since I was 13. Dad gave me an old Pentax 35mm when I was 13. I had a darkroom by the time I was 17. Even though I've always been a painter, photography is fundamental. So my portraits, I get these wonderful opportunities to paint various people, and of course they can't sit for weeks anyway. When I did President Obasanjo of Nigeria last year, there's no way he would have been able to sit for me for a week. So actually my system is actually quite effective. I go in, spend a whole day with him, really get to know the person, try and get under his skin. Of Margot Wilkie, who was a very well-known Buddhist, and I painted her about 5 weeks before she died last summer. I took a lot of photographs of her, but when I came to paint her hands, something rather remarkable happened for me, because I suddenly saw my grandmother's hands. And my grandmother died a week after Margot Wilkie died, and it was a very sort of seminal moment for me, because they had exactly the same hands. They both had very arthritic knuckles, and the rings couldn't come off anymore because the knuckles had swollen. And I don't think I'll ever be able to paint hands as well as that again. I just capture something quite unique in that.
As an artist, what is it that you want people to know about you?
I think for me as an artist, I'm really very, very interested in exploring the other. So using empathy as a way to get into the mindset of the other person. We live in a world that is actually quite divided, even though we have globalization. We hide behind our computers, and we don't understand the other, whether it's a Muslim, Jew, Christian, or a Buddhist, or a gay, or a black, and so it goes on, a different tribe. And for me, I'm always trying to pull away the veil.
Having experienced your work and getting to know you more recently, I can really see that coming through in your work.